Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of Droppin Bombs with me, Corey Ballmeister. As always with the lovely people here at TCGplayer.com. So today I am bringing you a list that is within one or two cards of the exact list that I played at a GP Pittsburgh last weekend. Ended up going 12-3 to a 20th place finish. So you can never really complain about a 12-3 finish, even though, obviously would have been nice to crack into that top 8 and really crush the tournament just like the deck can. And as far as last weekend, I think this deck was by far the deck of the weekend. It won the GP out of the United States. Jack Kiefer brought it into a top 4 finish at the GP. And then me in the top 32. This deck really performed insanely well against red, and I think it just has the power to also put up good game against control decks. I actually played against 3 control decks and 3-0'd them, and I think it has great game against them. So we'll get to the list here. On the mana base, there's nothing too special except the fact that I'm not playing the Hostile Desert. I just think it's very, very bad when you need to have blue within your first 2 turns, and most of the time need to have double white by turn 4 with Sunscorched Champion, or, turn 5 you have 6 cards that need you with double white. Plus, I don't want to play 24 lands, so your mana base really struggles to have any wiggle room, and Hostile Desert I felt like was just a little bit too low impact for me. So then we have 4 Ministers here. Great against dealing with Bolmots. It's a good blocker. Playing 2 of them and blocking a Scrounger while still filling up your graveyard is very good against these red decks. And you may hear me reference a lot about a lot of different card choices based on the red matchup, because that's really the main matchup that was to be expected, and more than likely still the main matchup to be expected next week at Nationals or any other further tournaments before M25 actually comes out. So Ministers are great there. We have the necessity of the deck is 4 Chart a Course, 4 Strategic Planning, and 4 Champion of Wits. These are the engines that pump that find you your combo pieces, because that's what this is. This is a combo deck. It's a modern day combo deck in Standard, which hasn't been around for quite a while. They get you the refurbish in your hand that you need, or the fumigate that you need to stall them off, or more card draw to keep trying to find your pieces, while still getting cards that you don't ever really want in your hand, like Angel of Invention and God-Pharaoh's Gift. It's really nice because when you draw these cards and you have cards to discard, you don't have to think about it that much. Those are 8 cards that you immediately are just like, yep, I want those in the graveyard. Not even God-Pharaoh's Gift you want in the graveyard right away, just because it puts the fear into your opponent that even if you don't have Refurbish and you don't have the combo set up on turn 4, you might. And when you might have the combo, it makes your opponents play in a different way that might be not as aggressive, and it doesn't threaten us as much. So even having the presence of a God-Pharaoh's Gift and an Angel and Invention in your graveyard is enough to usually slow down your opponent. And it happened to me many times where I didn't have it, but I'm like, if my opponent just slammed a Chandra there and ticked up, like, I'm in trouble. But if they slammed a Chandra and I refurbished back a God-Pharaoh's Gift and attacked their Chandra with a 6/6 flying Vigilance Angel, they were dead, So it's a balance where they have to play around this card because they will immediately lose the game or hold up a Braid and they still have plenty of chances to win the game even through that combo. So that is one of the big forms of play that happen in game that you really have to be conscious about as a God-Pharaoh's Gift player or playing against it. If you don't see a God-Pharaoh's Gift in their graveyard, jam as much power as you can until you see that the combo could get you next turn. I got 1 Search for Azcanta. This is 1 card that I didn't play at the GP. 2 cards I didn't play at the GP, the 3rd Sunscorched Champion and a Search for Azcanta. I didn't get infinite time to test, and me and my brother were working on Merfolk Trickster, which I still think was okay, but it never really did anything too special for me. So I would advise not playing it, but it was fun, it was cute. I did stop a Crasher from attacking and be able to block a Bomat on turn, on my turn 3 or whatever, and that ended up being very nice. But it was very few opportunities where those great situations came up. All right, we'll go on to Sunscourge Champion. I think this is one of the biggest additions to the deck than in past years. And people would think, oh, big deal. It's a 3-mana 2/3 that gains you a little life. Like, why is that big of a deal? Here's a scenario for you that has come up many times. Let's say my graveyard contains Sunscourge Champion, Angel of Invention, and God-Pharaoh's Gift, and I have a refurbish in my hand. My opponent decides on turn 4 they don't want to jam a Chandra because they want to protect themselves. So they just play a Scrap Heap Scrounger, maybe attack with their Scrounger they already had, and say go. Now, I'm left with the decision in my head, should I just refurbish God-Pharaoh's Gift and hope they don't have a Braid, even though it very obviously looks like they're representing it? And if that's the case, I refurbish back God-Pharaoh's Gift, they abrade it, I'm left with nothing, and then next turn they slam a Glorybringer because they're like, I already used my piece of interaction. If they have another one, nice, but, if they don't, I'm going to try to kill you as fast as possible. So that's a scenario, and we usually lose that game, unless I had another refurbish, which is lucky. But let's talk about the other scenario. I'm like, okay, I don't want to walk into this play. So I go Unearth Sunscourge Champion, discard another Angel of Invention or anything. Gain 4, your turn. Then my opponent's like, oh, well, I can't abrade that. I guess I just untap, and then they go in the tank. They're like, well, I'm kind of far behind. I can't attack with my Scroungers. I better play this Glorybringer and attack and exert. Be like, okay, I take a lot of damage. I take 10 damage, but I gained 4. So realistically, I took 6 damage. And then next turn, I'm like, okay, refurbish God-Pharaoh's Gift, attack for 6. The game is over. So it gives you that option to dance around your opponent's play that may slow their deck down enough where that you can actually get to a Fumigate, and then they're left with another position like, well, I can't just give them all the time in the world because maybe they'll find 2 refurbish on turn 8 and they'll just do that and I'm dead. So they're like, okay, well, now I have to progress the board, and then on turn 6 you refurbish it back. You really have to know how to dance around abrades. Abrade is the big thing. Against control, like game 1, you can dance around it a little bit, but most of the time you just have to go for it because eventually they're going to get counter spells. They're going to get the long game anyways. So you really have to recognize when and where and why to go for it. And that's something that hopefully I'm going to be showing you in these future videos here. So we'll get on to the rest of the list. I ended up cutting Thopter Arrest from the main because I really hate that card. It doesn't have any synergies with anything else. And that's really what this deck is all about, is having great synergy with it, with everything else. I do have 2 cast out on the other hand, like great against Phoenix, Chandra, Hazoret, takes down a Teferi. It can take down your opponent's cast out that may have a God-Pharaoh's Gift under it. It just does it all and then still has that ability to cycle when I just need to make land drops, for instance. 4 Refurbish, 4 God-Pharaoh's Gift, 4 Angel are the meat and potatoes of the deck. That's what you have to have, in my opinion, if you want to expect to consistently be comboing your opponent on turn 4 or 5, which this deck does. And then we have our pieces of interaction in the form of 2 Fumigate and 1 Settle the Wreckage. 1 Settle has been amazing. Not many people expect it from this deck, so it creates a lot of blowout situations against red. All right, let's get on to the sideboard here. So we got a total of 6 counter spells, which I love. 2 Jace's Defeat and 4 Negate. Jace's Defeat is really good against like blue-black, being able to counter a Scarab God or a Torrential Gearhulk. And then Negates to just protect your combo in post-board games against control. Same thing for Search for Iskanta, another great control card. It's more of an accelerant card, so on turn 5, you can refurbish with Negate backup where your opponent maybe doesn't have double counterspell yet. Sorcerer's Spyglass, absolutely great against blue-white where you can name Teferi. Still decent against Chandra if you decide to bring it in. I usually don't, because I just want to be playing Haymaker after Haymaker. And another control card here is the Nezahal. Nezahal I didn't have much faith in until round 15 of GP Pittsburgh, where it single-handedly won me games 2 and 3 against a blue-white control list to lock me into 20th place instead of maybe top 64ing. So Neza Hall officially has my respect, and this card is a beast. An elder beast against these control matchups. It's really, really just a phenomenal card. And then the rest of these cards are for a little bit of fringe slots here. Forsake is definitely for blue-white control. You can also bring it in against any, like, black-white vehicles. It's great against anything where they might cast out your God-Pharaoh's Gift. Thopter Arrest comes in against mono-red almost every time just because you want to, and against blue-black mid-range. Another way to deal with Scarab Goblin or Siphoner, or like an early Karizev to stem the bleeding a little bit. Speaking of stemming the bleeding, we have one Lyra here. Another kind of contingency plan where your refurbished God-Pharaoh's Gift plan isn't necessarily working out correctly. You just jam a Lyra, and most of the time your opponent doesn't have in stuff like Fight with Fire, because most of the time if you're Fight with Firing, you know, a Sunscourge champion or something that just came back and got value, that's usually not ideal against us. A third Fumigate, mostly for forests. You don't really bring this in against red. Maybe the Flame of Killed mono red list where Fumigate actually does more, but still I tend to side on just leaving 2 in. This is really for forests, really for green-black or mono-green, which I haven't been seeing much of. I actually didn't play it a single time at GP Pittsburgh. Dang it. It's my best matchup. I wanted to see it a little bit, but... and then 2 Angel of Sanctions. This card ends up coming in the 5-mana spot against any kind of control decks where you could take it to Fairy, take a cast out, something along those lines. All right, so let's get to the games here with Blue-White God-Pharaoh's Gift. All right, everybody, and welcome to the games here. All right, so we are on the draw here, and we have just about as close of a hand as we can start off with. If we have one single Chart the Course, Champion of Wits, strategic planning here, any kind of mill effect, this hand is great. Plus we have one redraw, and we have a way to fill our graveyard with creatures. So I think I'm going to keep this. This one is very close, though, so this one could kind of go either way here. All right, on the draw here, against a swamp. Okay, Champion of Wits is a great draw. I think, especially because our opponent could have Fatal Push here, and it could be convenient that we walk into it, I think we're just going to worry about hitting our 3rd land drop here and cycle Cast Out. Playing this on turn 2 or turn 3 usually doesn't matter as much. All right, so it looks like blue-black here. Definitely the hardest matchup for this deck, so we'll see how that goes. All right, cycle Cast Out. Definitely not ideal here. We're actually going to start by cycling Cast Out, just in case we draw an irrigated farmland. Then we would rather play that. Okay, so now we'll play the Minister. Still no land, so that is less than ideal. All right, ship the turn back, but one land here should get us all the way to turn 4. That's an ideal draw. Okay, so we're going to start with the Champion of Wits here. That resolves. So now we have a very easy discard here. This is the most beautiful thing to say. Discard God-Pharaoh's Gift and Angel of Invention. Now our opponent has the fear of God for the rest of this game. Now our opponent can't really tap out because right now we have the combo on turn 4. We'll see if we want to dance around it a little bit, but now we actually have some aggression that we can do as well. Yeah, with our opponent leaving up 4 mana, we're more than likely not going to go for it. Okay, irrigated farmland. So now we're left with the decision. Do we think our opponent has a counter spell? And I think the answer is yes, or it could be a commit. I mean, there's plenty that it could be. So really, we're just going to do a post-combat Champion of Wits here. And we're going to get in there for 3. Now we're just going to try to threaten our opponent's life total so that they have to make a move. So then we can proceed to refurbish our God-Pharaoh's Gift. All right, so we'll play another Champion. And you never really mind if Champion of Wits gets countered. Okay, we're for sure going to discard one Fumigate. Maybe both. I think I'm going to keep one just in case we get a Scarab God turn that we really need to deal with. So I think we'll discard this and Plains. And we'll ship it back. And we're probably going to see a Vraska's Contempt on one of these. Ooh. A main deck Scarab Feast? What? Okay, I guess since this weekend had a lot of popular God-Pharaoh's gift action, that the hate has already made its way back. That's insane. Wow. Okay, I'm mind blown there. And here comes Scarab God. This should be a fun match. Alright, so now we got a chance to get a God-Pharaoh's gift in the graveyard with a random mill. Not what's going to happen. Yeah, I think we're in a little bit of trouble here. That's pretty unreal. Scarab Feast in the main deck. I guess we will have to fumigate. Scarab God hits the field, and we are pretty much no shot of winning this at this point. Yeah, I'm still just flabbergasted at the Scarab Feast. Yeah, we'll just chart a course here and move on to the next game. Yep, you got it, buddy. Okay, let's see what we can do against main deck Scarab Feast blue-black deck. Alright, so we're definitely going to bring in Thopter Arrest. We're going to bring in all our blue hate here. Even Nezahal. Spyglass, all this. We're going to take out Fumigate. We're going to take out Settle. We're going to take out these Sunscourge Champions. We're going to take out Ministers, and that should be it here. Alright, I like it. Let's see if we can dodge a Scarab Feast here. Oh, that's pretty unreal. The hate has definitely hit Magic Online as early as Tuesday already. And I mean, you know, this is what we're going to see in the coming weeks, so I think it's a great deck, but you might run into these kind of a little bit more hateful plans. So I would like to go first. And I think this hand is fine here. Can't beat a Scarab Feast, but what can? Alright. We still need a land to make this a decent hand, but you still got to keep these kind of hands because the upside is so high. Alright, our opponent keeps 7. We're going to go with Island Go. Swamp into a Duress. Okay. Yeah, like I said, this is going to be our most difficult matchup, so I'll be impressed if we take this down. Not a great draw here. Search for a Scanta makes sense why they took Negate. Did not get the land, so we'll cycle. Alright, we're in trouble. At least we got a loot effect for next turn, but... Alright, so we got the land. We're just going to go for Champion of Wits here. I would not be surprised if our opponent countered this. At this point, this Champion of Wits is something we really need, and I think with them seeing our hand, it's pretty apparent. That's why I use the most efficient mana, and you don't mind if Champion of Wits is in the graveyard, because hopefully, eventually, you get to bring it back, but Scarab Feast tends to have a damper in that plan. Our opponent is thinking whether or not to play a hand disruption spell, I would imagine. Alright, so we got the land. We're not going to play that yet. Play Chart the Course. Okay, so we'll discard God-Pharaoh's Gift. And now we have it set up here. So we are going to say go and kind of hope that our opponent jams a Scarab God here. That would be nice. We could Spyglass right now to just really attempt to get there, but I think I'd rather counter a blue spell. And if not, next turn we're definitely just going for it. We have a Refurbish and we have a backup one. A Duress. Okay, Duress actually doesn't do much against our hand. Probably takes one of the Refurbishes. Yep. Now, if we top deck a land, we actually have some contemplating to do where we might not go for it. Yeah, without top decking a land, I think we just have to go for it. We have to get lucky to win this match and hope that our opponent just doesn't have it. Disallow. Okay, sure. Our opponent keeps a card off. Search for his Kanta. Main phase glimmers. Looks like 2 cards on top. Alright, at this point, we just have to slow down our opponent. So we're going to play a Spyglass. Alright. We're in trouble. We are in trouble. So I guess we're going to name Azcanta the Sunken Ruins because we can't beat that right now. Azcanta the Sunken Ruins. And we know what our opponent is dealing with, but what they're dealing with is quite good. So we have that counter spell for the Torrential Gearhulk at least. Not anymore. Alright, so now we get to F6 at least. There's a plus side. Our opponent likely doesn't want to Doomfall us. Land is just exactly what we wanted. Now next turn we can either Champion of Wits or God-Pharaoh's Gift. Our opponent will have 6 mana open, which does contain Gearhulk Disallow. So I think playing God-Pharaoh's Gift is going to be the thing to do. Alright, consigns us. Now gets to flip Azcanta. And that'll be active for a turn. And now I'm guessing can Doomfall away our Spyglass if need be. Yeah, this definitely has to be by far the toughest matchup. Blue-black midrange is always the worst matchup, but if you're having Scarab Feast too, that's usually quite bad. Alright, so I'm going to first strategic planning. We're going to get this. We're going to cast a Spyglass here. More than likely eating up a counter spell, eating up that Gearhulk. Now we have to be aware of this Oblivion in the graveyard here too. So our opponent can Doomfall and Oblivion us with a land. Alright, so here comes the Gearhulk. Which means next turn we're available for God-Pharaoh's Gift. Our opponent chose Consign to Oblivion. Interesting. Just making us discard 2 cards now. Well, this is interesting now. What to discard is the real question. I think we're gonna discard the 2 gifts. But our opponent might only have... Our opponent has a Doomfall, though, so if we don't discard the gifts, our opponent can just Doomfall them. So maybe he'll hit us with a Doomfall, not knowing we have a land in hand, and we'll get a free card. But we do get to... The Scarab God! Hello! Alright, well, we have to name the Scarab God. Okay. That's unfortunate. Yeah, so now we're up to just unearthing a Champion of Wits next turn as our only play. Alright, at least we're going to eat up a Doomfall here, so that was nice. And then our opponent doesn't get to play Scarab God, so, yeah, you know, that was a good play on our part at least. So now we'll unearth Champion. Hopefully our opponent didn't top deck Disallow. Not the case. Ugh. We'll discard 2 planes. Then we'll ship the turn. Alright, hits a Dispossess. Okay. Alright. We are not meant... This is a good example of how a deck can be hated out, and no matter how powerful a deck is, you're just not going to win when you run into this kind of hate. And this may be the most hate I have ever seen from a deck that is feasting on a deck that's not even that out there right now. You know, like, sure, it did well at this last GP weekend, but Dispossess, Scarab Feast, the Scarab God, like, it does not get any worse than this. Normally, I would say on such a beating, I wouldn't show this, but I do want to show every side of God-Pharaoh's Gift. And while there are some very positive notes to this deck, this is the exact negative side of this deck. So, you know, you gotta be willing to take the swings if you're taking this, if you're taking this kind of deck into a tournament. So we do have the Nezahal here. Maybe it's not over yet. There isn't a creature in the yard, but we are at 10. Yeah, we can't really win here. We have to take it too, just so our opponent doesn't have it. But if we could play it this turn, maybe we would be okay. But yeah, we'll just cast Nezahal next turn. We'll have to chump this next turn to go to 5, and then we will be finished off. All right, so that's round 1. Hopefully we don't get as many hateful matchups in the last 2 rounds. So stay tuned. We'll see if we can improve on that. And we're back for round 2. Let's see if we can dodge a little bit more hate than that. Holy, that was unreal. Okay, so we're on the draw. I think this hand is plenty fine here. We got a turn 2 loot, and we have the combo set up. We just need white source, but our deck does get to draw a lot of cards, so this hand is completely acceptable. It's not, you know, a slam dunk perfect hand, but it's close. Close enough, that's for sure. All right, let's see if we can play a mountain. Let's go mountain. It's what this deck is designed to beat, and it's what I beat all weekend in Pittsburgh. Let's see if we can not play against blue-black midrange here. Okay, well, that's not blue-black midrange at least. Champion of Wits is a great draw. We really have a lot of insurance to be able to get to a turn 4 gift with something in the graveyard. All right. So, yep, we're going to chart a course here. Almost for sure discarding God-Pharaoh's Gift. Let them know what we're playing. All right, we got our white source. So now, worst case scenario, you could chart a course discarding champion, and then we've at least set that part up. All right. Gift of Paradise. So it looks like we got a bit of a ramp deck. All right, so we're going to do exactly that. Chart a course. What are we expecting next turn? More than likely Hour of Promise. I think we will discard a champion here. We'd like to draw some cards next turn instead of just gaining 4 life. Sets up for the best possible if our refurbished resolves and doesn't get destroyed by anyway, which out of this kind of deck, it is usually pretty hard unless they have Brontodons. But blue, of course, can have counter spells here. But yeah, more than likely we're just going to see an Hour here, which is completely fine with us. All right, hooray! We get our first refurbish. Last round did not go as well, but we got it now. I'm still just living in the past. Scarab Feast? That's a card? Oof. Okay, but our opponent is doing a lot of stuff here, has a lot of mana, so this is definitely by no means game over. There's plenty that can be done out of this style of deck. Okay, so hit F6 here. We're going to return Champion of Wits. Now we're going to have to actually discard 3 cards here. Yeah, one of them is going to be God-Pharaoh's and Angel here. And then, yeah, we'll attack. And we're actually going to discard a Sunscourge Champion here for a little bit more food. Because then ideally, next turn, we could bring back Angel and a Sunscourge Champion. And you just want to be making your land drops here. So, and like these types of creatures, there's so many easy discards. That's the one kind of nice part about this deck is you really kind of get to play on easy mode. The loot effects like this aren't that hard, you know, because like you want cards in your graveyard. And to be honest, it's just a blast to play these decks. So, all right, we're taking 4. We're cool with that. Now, we're put in a position where we are just going to go for a double refurbish here. I don't really see a reason not to. Looks like more than likely... Oh, yeah, our opponent does have a Scavenging Grounds here. Yeah, okay, that's not a... That wasn't a great play then. Whoopsies. That's okay, we'll live. Okay. So we're going to play this land. Unfortunately, no trigger. We will attack. Our opponent does get to do that every turn here. So we will have to... Next turn, we can do a nice little play to dance around that Scavenging Grounds, though. We can play a Champion of Wits, discard a creature, and then when they go to exile, we can Rivulet ourselves to kind of combat the one-time use Scavenging Grounds. Okay, Minister is another great card when it comes to that. So we are going to Champion of Wits here. Draw some cards. All right, we're going to discard a creature and an irrelevant land. And now we're going to move to combat, where our opponent... Oh, lets us have it. Okay. All right, we'll gain 4, attack for 4. Has enough removal where our opponent just doesn't care right now. Makes sense. Now we get to try to set up next turn by putting another creature in the yard. Yeah, we'll put a Minister here. Since we played that post main, we get to just draw a card. But now we have Minister to keep it a little active. Our opponent's going to draw a card off Arch here, I assume. Now we have the option to just block here to force our opponent into Scavenging Grounds. You can really dance around Scavenging Ground quite well. We just chose to not do it that one turn. That was my mistake. That was a bad play. Oversight there. Okay, so our opponent only has 1 more card in hand. So really has to close out the game with these zombies when we have an active gift going on. So I still like our chances here, even though Scavenging Grounds is a very bad card for us. Okay, cycles a land, so our opponent just has one random card. And we can just fumigate here. Actually, I think that's going to be a nice play. Exiles a creature, sure. Okay, so yeah, I think we're just going to stop the pressure here and fumigate and then play a Minister and set up a good God-Pharaoh's Gift turn next turn. We can cycle as well if we see no targets we really want. Alright, we'll say go. Our opponent can attack us with a hostile desert, but that's not that big of a deal. Duress. Okay, well, we are going to cycle and hope we don't draw a non-creature. Hooray! Duress fizzles. Now, our opponent is cardless here, so we can really dance around this Scavenging Ground now, which is pretty cool. We still need to get some luck with the top of our deck to be able to mill ourselves, but that's okay. We might see a Deadlands on our creature, but then our opponent would have to also Scavenging Grounds. And our opponent is running out of deserts here, so even with our misplay that turn, we're definitely coming back here. Okay, lets us untap. So we draw a God-Pharaoh's Gift. Not the best top deck. We're going to start by milling ourselves. And we hit a creature, so that is step one. So now we're going to move to combat, and our opponent is going to have to get rid of the graveyards. Or let us get a 6/6 Flying Angel. Either or I'm content with. Now we really want to get lucky on our top four cards. This is a big turn to capitalize. Alright, yes. Champion of Wits, please. And there we go. Alright, we hit a lot of creatures. We can actually bring back a Sunscourge champion too, so this was nice. Okay, so we got a couple extra lands here. We actually got an extra God-Pharaoh's Gift here as well. Because we are going to discard a total of 3 cards because we're going to play a Sunscourge champion here from our graveyard. So we're going to discard another land. Scavenging Grounds is not the hardest thing to play around if you haven't noticed with this game. Alright, so we'll bring this back. It's hard to play around when you also have an aggressive deck. Like mono red playing Scavenging Grounds is a lot more scary. But right now, look at this pressure we put in through a Scavenging Grounds. It was really no big deal. So now our opponent is left having to Scavenging Grounds again. Otherwise, we just get a 4/4 Minister, which is enough on this board. You know, we're really threatening our opponent's life totals now. Looks like we're going to get a Deadlands to our Minister. But yeah, I think the play that's going to end up working out again here is moving to combat. So we're going to attempt to gift here. Oh, I suppose, yep, our opponent can still do that. Yeah, I should have played the Angel of Invention here. That's okay. All right, we'll attack for 8. And then there could be something like Bantu's Last Reckoning. So we're going to start with just strategic planning. Yep. We'll just get another strategic. Try to set up our graveyard here. And we got to be conscious of our library as well. Okay. So now we have... We're just going to take the Angel here. So that means we can strategic planning again to get another creature into our graveyard. Alright, so we got a champion into the yard. So that, and we got a Revulet. Revulit's very good right now. We'll shift the turn back. We're going to force our opponent to Scavenging Grounds us again. And then just kill them by attacking for 9 here with pumping the team. So this game will be locked up this turn. Our opponent started by ramping very quickly with mana, and ironically, we ended up with more lands in the end. Okay. So we're going to play this. And we're going to move on to game 2. Alright, well, not the most cohesive play on my part there. I kind of screwed up a little bit there. But still, got the point across. So against a ramp deck, I kind of like Spyglass for Scavenging Grounds. Haven't played this matchup much. I'm guessing Fumigate and Settle are not good. Champion doesn't seem ideal either. I kind of like Forsake here. Yeah, I think Forsake could be good. Angel of Sanction could be fine. Now, Sunscourge Champion is a card I'm really on the fence about. I think it's bad, but I don't know exactly what I'd want instead of it. I guess some negates seem pretty good here. Stopping hours, stopping any kind of things like that. I can see 3 and 3. I think we'll run exactly like this. Ministers are great against Scavenging Grounds, so we'll keep those in. Usually Ministers are only really good against mono red. Great at blocking Bomat while still setting up, while still putting Sunscourge Champions into your graveyard in case you don't have the combo. But they're still good in these situations as well. Alright, game 2 on the draw. This hand is fine. We got those Rivulets here, which can come into play later. Definitely not a perfect hand by any means, but we can cycle on turn 1 and then do a little looting. Alright, our opponent is down to 6 cards and keeps. And then scries to the top. Alright. Started off with an Island. Okay, we're going to play a Plains. We definitely need more action, so we are going to cycle this. A Duress. Well, I think we're okay with our opponent taking Cast Out here, so we'll just let him have it. Or let him take the Chart the Course. And then it gives a little less information about what our hand is going to be. Because we're going to cycle and have 2 unknown cards after our opponent more than likely takes Chart a Course. Alright, so now we cycle. Hopefully get another 2-mana loot effect. And a Gate isn't terrible. That might be okay. Yep, so now we definitely need a loot effect here quite soon, but games do tend to slow down post-sideboard. Yep, well, we're going to negate that just so our opponent doesn't see our hand. That negate could have actually helped us if we didn't draw. That Duress could have helped us if we didn't draw a non-creature spell there. We would have loved our God-Pharaoh's Gift into the yard. Our opponent missed a land drop, though, so that's less than ideal for them. But we got nothing going on right now as well. A gift, okay. It's a pretty good draw. The land, I suppose our opponent probably had that gift. Alright, so now we're still really looking for a loot effect, and there it is. Okay, so we'll chart a course. Really would have liked a champion, just because we want to discard more than 1 card. We're going to discard God-Pharaoh's Gift, play a Minister, and now we have the combo set up next turn. We just need some stuff in the graveyard, which will have 3 spins at it with Minister. Really could use a second white source, because even just playing back-to-back Angel of Inventions is a fast clock. So if our opponent strips our Refurbish and we're left without that, it's a good side plan, but we do not have the double white. which happens. Like, you consistently need blue with this deck, and you consistently need double white by turn 5. So the mana's tough, you know? It's how it has to be. There's not enough duels, and you don't want to play as many irrigated farmlands because playing your spells on time is very, very important. Our opponent is deep in the tank, deciding if they want to let our 2 energy trigger resolve. All right. Yep, this is definitely not a matchup that I've played a lot or that many people have played very much. But, yeah, you know, I mean, especially since it's getting late in the format, all these, like, mono red every round kind of thing is just not happening anymore. People are figuring out ways to beat mono red, and I'm starting to think, you know, that deck is just, like, perfectly manageable. Like, I mean, there's a Pro Tour coming up, and it's a team Pro Tour, but I don't anticipate that it's going to be every single round is going to be a red mirror or whatever. Like, I think Standard is diversifying a little bit now that people figure out how to beat it. Like, I'm pretty positive this deck consistently beats red. And, you know, I mean, it showed at this last week's GP. It won one of them, you know, it top forward where Jack actually got incredibly unlucky. His opponent had a 2 or 3 outer. Had 1 card under Bomat. It had to be an Abrade to stop an Angel from attacking for 6 and locking up the game, and it was Abrade. Oh, felt bad. Felt bad for the guy. He's a good player. You know, he's a good friend, and really was excited to see him make it to the finals, where he inevitably probably would have lost to Oliver 2 playing blue-black mid-range, because that's a terrible matchup. But, you know, it would have at least been a good one. But instead, mono red won and then had a pretty easy finals. Okay, so now, ooh, with top decking negate, I think we're just going to say go and hope we get a land. Plus, we got mill targets here, so we get to just play it a little slow. We really wish we had a white source. Playing an angel there would have been great. Okay. So now we hope to top deck a land to combo this out. We still need the creatures as well, so. Alright, we hit a creature. It's not a good one, but... Alright, we got the land, and it's not a good one either. So we're still going to ship it back. And that's what I'm saying about those irrigated farmlands, you know? Like, we're not under a lot of pressure, so we have time to wait. But if that was an untapped land, I think we just locked that game out. And now we're hoping to hit a Champion of Wits. Here would be the ideal target with Minister. But even hitting another Minister, we probably don't even attack. We just mill ourselves again. And then we have the Rivulets as well. Gift. I don't think I cared too much about that. I think I'd rather counter the negate. Because just in case our opponent goes Island Go and we negate this, we'd feel real silly. So we'll let that happen. Now we still for sure have a God-Pharaoh's Gift entering play. And let's see what we're bringing back. An angel at least. Not the worst. Alright, refurbish God-Pharaoh's Gift. And more than likely have a negate for his negate. For our opponent's negate, I should say. Yep, we will say no to that. And now we're going to bring back Angel, and we're going to do the servos here. We don't want to just walk into like a Vraska's Contempt and just lose that 6/6. It gains more power by making the servos by 2. Puts out 8 power instead of 6 if you do that. But, you know, against red, you almost always want to put on the counters because you don't want it to be Glorybringered. You don't want it to get Chandra'd. The only thing they can do to kill it is really Unlicensed Disintegration. And we're okay with that if that happens because usually you have another one. So from this point on, I don't see a real easy way for our opponent to win, even if they deal with God-Pharaoh's gift. We just have the inventive angels to really scrap through the final damage here. Even with our opponent at 20, I would not be surprised if we get a concession here. You know, like, that's just what God-Pharaoh's gift does. It really snowballs very quickly. And I mean, we fought through, what, 4 Scavenging Grounds activations? You know, like, the deck can beat Hate. It can beat Abrade. It can beat Scavenging Grounds. It can't beat, on the other hand, Scarab Feast. And Dispossess. And the Scarab God. And Disallow. And Negate. And Glint Sleeve Siphoner. All cards that could be in blue-black mid-range. And we're in round 1. So, you know, a duress here is kind of laughable. Can you guys tell that I'm holding a little aggression to this person's hate from round 1? Because you would be correct. I think this person must have lost a win-in last weekend to God-Pharaoh's gift and just said, no more will I lose again. Alright, Naturalized takes down her God-Pharaoh's gift, which was somewhat to be expected here. Now I actually kind of like just playing an Angel of Sanctions and taking one of these gifts away. Well, let's see. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus 4, so we have 14 damage. Yeah, so I think we'll just attempt to slow our opponent down a little bit. Now, we're still afraid of, like, Bantu's Last Reckoning, I guess, but that should be okay. Get on in there and present lethal next turn if our opponent does not have said card. Maybe a Vraska's Contempt. Okay, that's still pretty good. Alright, our opponent gains 3. That does not leave lethal. So in hindsight, that would have been a better play, but here we go. We got a God-Pharaoh's gift and a creature. I would like to bring this Minister back. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 exactly. Hello, Exaxes. Oh, this deck is fun. Stick around for round 3. I might even do a round 4 since round 1 was a little bit of a, we'll say, a beating. All right, stay tuned. And welcome back for our 3rd round here. Okay, so we did not win the Dyro. We're on the draw, and this hand is fine. It's passable. We'll keep this. We got a turn 1 and a turn 2 play, hopefully to find us more lands. Our opponent plays an island. Where were all these mountains hiding? All this gift has scared him into submission, it looks like. All right, so we'll start with a Minister. Cycling Hydroglyphic Illumination. So looks like we got a blue-white control deck. All right, so this is close if we just want to draw or if we want to discard here. A little bit wants me to just draw 2 cards here. Yeah. So we're going to attack. Normally we just mill ourselves, but we really just want to hit our land drops, draw some Champion of Wits or something like that. Cycles Renewed Faith. Okay, looks like we might have this Drakehaven list. Okay, Champion of Wits is the perfect draw. So now we get to discard Angel and God-Pharaoh's gift next turn. Cycles again, which leads me to believe that our opponent doesn't have a bunch of lands. Not playing a land also leads me to believe that our opponent does not have a lot of lands. So we're going to go Champion of Wits here, set up the combo, and we got it. We got it. Now we are just going to say go and mill ourselves. You actually want to be bringing back Champion of Wits more than you want to be bringing back Angel of Inventions. Looks like this might be an easy game if our opponent does not play in the 3rd land here. Still might be an easy game. I think we still probably go for it, but maybe not. We do have a Sun Scourge Champion now, too. I actually don't think we do. Because if our opponent has a negate here, you know, like, there's a good chance we lose the game. So we are just going to go on the aggressive. and bring back a Sunscourge champion. And now our opponent is dealt with, or forced to dealing with this stuff. And then we can just refurbish when our opponent actually deals with it. Alright, really digging for lands here. Alright, so this is another turn where I don't really like going for it. Our opponent could easily have disallow. So we're just going to... I think just going to attack. You know what? I think I am going to go for it right now. So even if it eats up a disallow, that's one disallow that won't eat up our champion of wits. So we're going to go for it. Maybe should have went for it last turn, but it's a guessing game. Then our opponent can't cycle at end step to try to find more lands. Really forced to deal with this and use up their mana. Okay. We cannot pay 5. We can cast a Minister. We're going to attack with everything but the Minister, I believe here. 6, 7 would put him to 11. Yeah, we do not have our opponent dead next turn no matter what. Now we are afraid of Settle the Wreckage, though. And this would have been a good turn. I think maybe I mistimed that refurbish a little bit. Did hit a Champion of Witch, which is great. Now we just want to be careful about how much we attack with. And I think the correct answer is just our Sunscourge champion and our Champion of Wits. Our opponent more than likely has it here. Seal away. Okay, that's okay. Dealing with our champion. I guess they're both champions, but... Alright, so we're going to play a champion. Draw some cards. Ooh. We'll discard champion and the farmlands. So now we have the option to gift next turn or just bring back a champion. So it really depends on what our opponent does. Maybe a cycle here, another seal away. Alright. So now if our opponent fumigates or something, we really got this game locked up because we can God-Pharaoh's gift back an angel, or probably more importantly, just a Champion of Wits. And from here on, we have so much inevitability that... Okay, so we have 6, 7, 8 damage here. So because we have 8 damage, we can safely play God-Pharaoh's gift because our opponent can't counter it or they just lose. So, and if they just don't counter it, we just don't attack with the whole team. So we're put in a position where we should win the game or have a very firm lockdown on this game. Yep, so our opponent thinks we're just going to attack all in with Settle, which will not be the case. So we're just going to bring back Champion of Wits. Draw some cards. Discard some cards. Discard these. And now it comes down to how much we want to commit. And I think the correct answer is just these 3 creatures. So almost for sure, induce a Settle, which it did. We get 3 lands. And attack him with the Ministers. It's smaller amounts of damage, so we'd get more lands. Yeah, now... And now we're just going to attack for lethal again next turn. We're just going to be attacking for lethal every turn until our opponent runs out of Settle the Wreckages. It's a fun little dance you get to play with blue-white. And when they're short on lands, the dance gets to be a lot easier. Yeah, okay. Writing's on the wall there. Alright, so we'll move to the sideboard against blue-white cycling. Still want all the blue cards. And the Spyglass, probably not. You would against any other deck, but I doubt they have Teferi. If they have all those cycled, they probably go to try to kill you with Drakehaven. And Drakehaven can actually be countered with this. Forsake the Worldly is great, though, on the other hand. So we'll get out the Fumigates, we'll get out the Settles, get out the Champions here. And then the Ministers are not great as well. So normally that 60th card would be the Spyglass in these type of matchups. So we'll bring in one Champion here. It's a decent play. It's not great, but yep, this looks perfect. We will run it. Ooh, actually, one Angel of Sanctions might be a little better. And I kind of actually want both of them. Get rid of one search. Yeah, Search for Scans is pretty good. I'm going to take out one Angel of Invention for another Angel of Sanctions. Sanctions, tongue twister. Sanctions can be very good, and most of the time you don't need a bunch of Angel of Inventions against these matchups. It kind of more revolves around Champion of Witch and Nezahal, actually. Nezahal is just insane against blue-white. It is the best card in the deck, and you hope to draw it at least at some point. But you draw so many cards that eventually you do usually get there. All right. And have I mentioned this deck is just the most fun deck to play ever. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed myself at GP Pittsburgh. I had a great time. I got to hang out with the one and only Riley Knight, the Australian. Had a blast with him. Great dude. Got to play a deck that I loved. It was truly an event that I really enjoyed. Okay, so this is a hand that comes up very often. Just a bunch of 2-mana spells. So the hand doesn't look great, but it gets there. It eventually becomes great. I love these kind of hands. Because it's very hard to brick on lands. Yeah, we'll play the farmland. You almost always play this first if you have it. This isn't a deck where you cycle very much ever. Because your cycle effects, you have a lot of them. Okay. So, now here's a nice decision to talk about here. What to play, Chart a Course or Strategic Planning when you actually have the option. And I was always slamming Chart a Course, and sometimes it's correct. If you have a piece of the puzzle that you already want in the graveyard, it's Chart a Course. But if you don't, which we don't, I mean, sure, we would want Angel of Invention in the yard, but we're really searching for two things. A God-Pharaoh's Gift to be in the graveyard, and a refurbish. Strategic Planning does the best job at that because if you see both of them in them, that's exactly what you want. You want one in your hand, you want one in the graveyard. So Strategic Planning is the better option to play first if you have both. And our opponent is cycling in response. Alright, we did not hit any of those options. So I think at this point we're going to take the Forsake. We have plenty of time to get lands later, and this Forsake, there's only one of, and it can become very useful. Like, even a Drakehaven right now, it would have been very good against. Alright, so we're going to play a land to play around Countervailing Winds here. Alright, now we're going to Chart a Course. Got some cards we want to discard here. Angel of Invention being the first one. And then we'll ship it back. Cycles Sensor. Yep, and playing around Sensors. Another good thing that I didn't necessarily think of. Search for his Canta. So this is another reason to keep this Forsake. We want to be able to deal with that card. It's very, very good. And more than likely, that's going to be our play next turn is Forsake with this. So for now, we'll just play a Chart the Course again. Okay. So now we got some action here. I think we're still just going to discard this Angel of Invention. But we might also Chart a Course. That's putting us at too many cards, though. Because we're going down to 7. We'd go... Oh, no, that is still fine. But our opponent could have Teferi. We can't really put that completely out of mind. But I really don't think they do with the cycle version. So we're going to chart again. And now I kind of want to just discard a Champion of Wits and get to 7 and unearth it. That's what we're going to do. So now we got the lands. And we got our way to disrupt that search for Azcanta. They can't flip it this turn, but very high chance that our opponent could flip it next turn. So we are going to have to forsake at some point. Field of Ruins. Alright, so now we're just going to say go. And go for that forsake. We could have the option of Angel of Sanctioning it, but I just don't think that's going to work. We're going to need this counterspell to back it up. We're going to respond. Forsake the Worldly. And that worked. So we'll get a land. All right. So here I think we'll cycle. We got the refurbished, but we actually we have not found a God-Pharaoh's Gift here. We went through a lot of cards and have not found one. But next turn we do have a Champion of Wits play. And we could be walking into a disallow, but I think it's worth it right now. We'll give this a shot. All right. So we'll draw some cards. Now we just have way too many lands, so we're just going to discard land. We actually have to discard another card. Yeah, we just have too many lands here, so... Yep, that was a very bad Champion of Wits. I think maybe we'll discard this Angel of Sanction here. Yeah. Cycle Sensor. This is our opponent's turn where our shields are down. And search for Azcanta. That's a good one. So we do have the option of Angel Inventioning with Jace's defeat backup, which I don't mind. Yeah, I would rather our opponent counters Angel of Sanctions than search for Azcanta, actually. So we are going to give this a shot. And we're just going to let this get countered. We do not care. We're just trying to eat up a counter spell. Unless it's a Gear Hulk. Then we care about that. Alright, so now we're going to make some servos. And get in there for 5. Now we got a good board presence here to actually threaten. Okay, so now we don't want to walk into a search for Azcanta here. So we are, or into a Settle the Wreckage. So we are going to play a search first. Make our opponent fight over counter spells in pre-combat phase so we know if the coast is clear or not. Okay, so this is going to be for 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I think we're going to negate this. So we do want this search for Azcanta. Looks like another one. Yep. Won't be able to do anything against that. But that does mean the coast is clear here. So that is a nice thing. And it does allow us to play an Angel of Sanctions. The card's not great right now. But we do get to get in a bunch of damage right now. And even if it gets fumigated, it's not that big of a deal. Alright, we'll say go. Yeah, and this game, you know, doesn't have any combo pieces. Oh, there is Teferi. Okay. Well, that's not great for us right now, but... So now we really just want to find a negate and pretty much lock this game up. So we're going to start with a cycle. We're going to do a chart, of course. Okay, that's nice. We're actually just going to discard refurbish here. We don't really need it. And now we might even... Well, now we have the cast out for the Teferi. Yeah, we're going to cast out right away. If our opponent wants to counter it, they can. Okay, so now we're just going to attack with just enough to make it a lethal attack, which should just be enough to do these. I think this is perfect. One seal away doesn't stop it. Two of them we have a negate for, so this should be a lethal attack unless they have settle plus counterspell. So we're going to give it a shot. And that's the game. Control matchups aren't hard as people think. You just got to be able to dance your way around it. All right, so we're going to do one more match because normally I would not have even shown that blue-black matchup since we got beaten up so bad. But I wanted to show you the ways that you can lose to hate, and that is hate. So stick around. Hopefully we can play against a mountain round 4. All right, and welcome to our 4th and final round here. So we won the die roll for a change, which is huge. This deck is so much better on the play. This hand has a little bit too much land, but Champion of Wits fixes a lot of problems. So we're going to keep this. This hand is actually great, I think. All right. Yeah, if our opponent, finds an Essence Scatter or Doomfall or something for our Champion of Wits, it makes it worse, but I suppose our opponent couldn't actually Doomfall it on the draw. All right, so we're going to start with a Minister. Get our energy and pass the turn. And now the play that I love to see is turn 1, Mountain, Bomat, go. Mountain? Bomat? Aww, that's way less fun. Okay, land is not what we wanted. That's okay. Soul Scour Mage is okay. We got our mountain, though. That's what we wanted to do. Ooh, and it's the hyper-aggressive wizard matchup. This actually is a worse matchup than, like, red-black, let's say. So now we really need some gas here. We've been drawing too many lands. Ugh. Definitely less than ideal. We got a little piece to keep us going a little bit, but this is the turn where we were supposed to have the stuff in the graveyard to make our opponent afraid of God-Pharaoh's Gift, but we just don't have it right now. All right, Shock to deal with the creature. And Wizard Lightning to hit us, so we're going to be taking a good chunk of damage here. Down to 12. Yep, not great, but we're definitely not out of it yet. We need a good strategic planning / cycle here to be able to get a Fumigate, get a God-Pharaoh's Gift, and a Refurbish. Like, we need to, at this point, I wouldn't say get lucky, because we've gotten very unlucky so far in our draws, but we need to kick it into gear. Our opponent is deep in the tank. Really not sure if they should attack or not. Always makes for such awkward times when I'm recording and they just decide to tank for no reason. Well, we got our wish to play some mountains here, so I am excited about that. Because this is just a fun matchup to play. It's usually pretty close. I do think we're favored, but not by a lot. Feel free to fast forward when this is recorded for you so you don't have to watch this this sitting here time. Yeah, things we're looking for next turn. to just naturally draw a Settle the Wreckage would be good. We would probably just say go for that. Otherwise, another Champion of Wits or like another strategic planning, like a way to see 6 total cards to get those into the graveyard and have a good chance at either Sunscourge championing, fumigating, you know, really doing anything. Ooh, unfortunately, our opponent has lost connection, so this could be a bit of a wait. Yeah, Champion of Woods being in the graveyard right now usually is decent when it's that early, but I don't think we'll have the time to get there anyways. Turn 7, usually the game has got to be decided by then. Yeah, it would be a little tough. All right, our opponent has joined the game. We're back on. Must have just got a big leg spike or something. Could be could just be in the tank about attacking. Maybe they want to leave it back just in case we have a ground haste creature. I'm joking. Opponent has joined the game, but still not clicked a button. Okay, there we go. Yep, if we would have had the draw we really wanted here, we would have been able to refurbish back an Angel, and it would have been a much easier game. Sunscourge Champion is actually a great draw here. I think we're just going to play that. Force our opponent to kill it, and then we can bring it back next turn. I'm going to play this land and say go. A little bit of defense. Earthshaker Kenra is the exact card we didn't want to see, or we wanted to block with it. But that's okay. I'm going to take 5 down to 9. Likely not dead next turn, but definitely could be. Alright, so we're in strategic planning. Kind of want another Sunscourge Champion at this point. Alright, so we got the refurbish, but no God-Pharaoh's Gift. So we're kind of put in a bit of a dilemma here of what to pick, because we could pick Angel. I think we just got to go for the refurbish and hope this second strategic planning gets us there. There's also a case to be made for Minister, since it'd be another blocker. And we are up to 5 land already. So if we find God-Pharaoh's Gift, we can just likely get close to casting it. I think we are going to try for a Minister here. This could be wrong. Strategic planning. There's the gift. So that is a little unfortunate. Because now we have to take gift. Yeah, we got to take gift here. And then play a Minister here. So we wouldn't have a Minister, so we would only have 1 blocker, so that would be less than ideal. But we would have a gift in the graveyard, and the combo set up for next turn. So we'll see which one's better. If we can get Sunscourge Champion to the graveyard and unearth that next turn, then that would be pretty good as well. Something like a Crasher would be very bad. Something like a Crasher, and then we immediately regret our play because we would have won the game next turn. So, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we would have only taken 8 if Crasher would have been the case. And it is pretty hard for a Sunscourge Champion to actually die right now. Attacking with everything. We're going to block here. We're going to block here to just soak up as much damage as possible. Maybe we even want to block the Soul Scour Mage, because it's probably about the same damage and could be even more. So yeah, we're going to block this. And we kind of hope our Sunscourge champion dies. We don't mind like 2 burn spells to us right now. Okay. Lightning Strike at us. And we kind of want to see a shock. Yep, that's probably going to mean that we are dead. So we have nothing we can do this turn. Yep, so we essentially punted here by picking that Minister, because we would have been down to 2. Now we lose to just about anything. Yep, that will do it. On to the next. Yep, I think we could have won that game with the other play, so that's unfortunate. Alright, so we're going to take out Search for Azcanta. We're going to bring in Lyra here. And we're going to bring in Thopter Arrest and take out a Cast Out. We don't sideboard much against them because our deck is configured to beat them. So this is the configuration I like here, and we'll run it up. Yeah, I really should have went for that refurbish there. You know, it is definitely a mistake in hindsight with knowing the information, but if we didn't take a God-Pharaoh's gift and we were left with just refurbish, you know, then we're going to lose that game. So it was a lower risk play, but I think this deck at that position, we had to go for the high risk, high reward play, and we did not, and we're max punished because of it. We'll see if we can turn the tides a little bit better this time. But actually, we are on the play here. No, I still think I like this, yeah. Sometimes I take out Fumigates on the play, but this version runs a lot more creatures, so Fumigate is a lot better. Red-black runs more hard to... When they play Phoenixes and stuff, it's much harder to kill, so I tend to leave in all my cast-outs and Thopter Arrests and take out some Fumigates. Yes, we would like to go first. This hand is very good. So this is one of the cases where we're going to play Chart the Course instead of Strategic Planning, because we want that God-Pharaoh's Gift in the graveyard to put the fear in our opponent to maybe leave open a Braid, like anytime we could actually cast it, even if we don't have it. Right, our opponent kept 7. More than likely has a 1-drop. This deck is full of 1-drops. And this red deck, out of all of them, I think is the worst for us, just because they have so much burn, and they have so many ways to get through Sunscourge champions, that it becomes a little difficult. Bomat is okay. We got that Settle that could easily come in handy here later on. All right. So now we are going to Chart a Course. Okay. So we are going to discard Gift. And now next turn we got a great play and great discard. Playing Champion of Wits and discarding Angel and Sunscourge Champion is exactly what we want, because then we put the fear that we could gift in an Angel while still having the secondary play we can do. It's very good. Okay, so now they're definitely setting up quite well. And now we really want to just find a refurbish so we actually have it, just in case our opponent doesn't respect it. We will take it. Okay, so we got the land. Now we just need the refurbish. And now at least we have Settle next turn for a little bit of a defensive play. And now a good play for our opponent next turn is just Goblin Chain Whirler. So if we can get a refurbished, that is ideal, and we got it. Okay, so we have it all here. We have every single line of play that we can have. Honestly, it seems weird to say right now because mono red could just have a bunch of abrades, but I don't think we could lose from this position. We drew exactly what we wanted here, and like we really have a lot we can do. So if our opponent doesn't leave 2 mana open, we just refurbish, angel, boom, that's ideal. That's what we want to happen the most. But if that doesn't happen, we still have plenty of backdoor plays we can do. Gain 4, put a Loxodon Hierarch into play, hold up a Settle the Wreckage, and another shock. Yep, we will be refurbishing back our angel here. And I mean, we're taking a lot of damage, but we're gaining it all back. All right. Refurbish a God-Pharaoh's Gift, and then bring in Angel of Invention. And we definitely just always go for the Angel for the 6/6. Mono red, it's very hard for them to kill this. 2 burn spells or whatever, and then we just do it again next turn. Because we could discard to Chart a Course and got another Angel. Like, from here, it's wrapped up. And it's so fun to do. It's so fun to bring back an Angel. Yep, a Braid. Okay, well, now they just still... can't deal with angel. Alright, so right now we're just going to bring back a champion. We're going to win the game here. We're going to win the game with this angel. And now we got a 4/4 beater as well. So we're going to go to 26 life. And now we can just start attacking with this Sunscourge champion as well. And we got another angel on the way. Well, it's not as big and powerful as the one brought back with gift. Even if our opponent didn't attack and left up a braid, we just don't abrade, you know? Like, so we had ways to get around that abrade, even if they waited. Alrighty, so as far as changes go, I don't like cast out on the draw against them. I would rather have a 3rd Fumigate. Fumigate is not ideal, but like I said, against this version that has all these creatures, it is a chance at being better. Well, cast out doesn't deal with a lot, so we're just going to submit this. Hope for a good game 3. On the draw, it's definitely much worse because they can have a draw that is so good that there's just not much we can do. And this hand is terrible. We got no early action besides cycling. That's not how we're going to get there. It has to be a mulligan. Ugh. This hand's the same, but we can't go to 5. We got to keep and hope we have a loot effect. Yep, this is a bad hand, and I feel like it's going to be a tough one to win. We just need to get to Fumigate more than likely with this hand. This hand isn't a great combo hand. But I mean, you know, we're 1 champion of wits away from getting an angel and possibly drawing a God-Pharaoh's Gift. You know, like there's chances to combo, but it's a little tougher. We will take it. All right. Yep, that's terrible. We really need something we can cast next turn here. Or hopefully our opponent just doesn't pressure us. We want to see something like a Kari Zev. That would be ideal. Earthshaker Kenner is not terrible. Not a huge amount of pressure. Now we really want Champion of Wits. That is our best draw right now. Because we got 2 cards we really don't want in our hand. Okay, down to 14. Well, ruh-roh. I don't even know if we'll be able to make it to Fumigate. I think 2 attacks is going to be enough to finish us off if our opponent has any kind of follow-up. Yep, 4, 5, 6, 12. Yeah, with any burn spell, we're dead now unless we draw a Settle. Now we really... Yeah, it's... You can't not play anything in your first 3 turns in this matchup. It's just not good. We might even not live through the turn. 8... 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, if our opponent has another Wizard's Lightning, we're just dead right now. Alright, so now I think we need Settle. Yep, nope, that's going to be the game. Ah, it's too bad we didn't get a game 3 at all. But, you know, I mean, punished by maybe not making the ideal play in the first round there. So, yeah, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Usually it goes better against these mono-red opponents, but Blue-White Gift, I think, is a deck that deserves to be considered in Tier 1, and I think last week it proved it. And I think this is still a very good deck that we can be choosing for Nationals next week as far as U.S. Nationals goes. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week after Nationals. Take care.